The bridge of the UES Valkyrie hummed with quiet tension as Captain Daniel Harper stared at the main screen. The alien face looking back at him was not friendly. High Counselor Vexthor had 4 eyes that glowed with anger, and his skin was covered in small scales that changed color when he was upset. Right now those scales were turning a dark red. "Captain Harper, your people have broken our laws," Vexthor said through the translator device. His voice sounded cold and harsh. "You will bring your ships to our station. You will surrender your weapons. You will give us all your dark matter technology. You have 48 hours to comply." Daniel felt his hands tighten into fists. Next to him, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Monroe stood very still, but he could see the anger in her eyes. Behind them, the rest of the bridge crew waited to see what their captain would say. "Counselor, we are a free people," Daniel replied, keeping his voice calm. "We built this technology ourselves. We didn't steal it. We didn't break any laws that existed when we started our research. You can't just demand that we hand over everything we've created." Vexthor's scales turned darker. "You are young. You are foolish. The Galactic Council decides what technology species may use. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. We do this by making sure that dangerous weapons do not fall into the wrong hands." "Dangerous weapons," Lisa spoke up, her voice sharp. "Or technology that threatens your control. You've kept humanity in the dark for 200 years. You gave us just enough to survive, but never enough to compete with the older species. You wanted us dependent on you." The alien counselor's expression became even more hostile. "Your arrogance is exactly why younger species must be controlled. You develop weapons without understanding the consequences. You threaten the stability of the entire galaxy." Daniel stepped forward. "We've threatened no one. Our dark matter ships are defensive. We built them because we were tired of being told what we could and couldn't learn. We were tired of being treated like children who couldn't be trusted with knowledge." "Then you will learn like children," Vexthor said coldly. "You will be punished. If you do not surrender in 48 hours, we will send our fleet to Earth. We will destroy every human colony. We will burn your homeworld until nothing remains. This is not a threat. This is a promise. We have done it before to species who refuse to obey." The screen went dark. The bridge was completely silent for several long seconds. Chief Engineer Greg Patterson was the first to speak. He was a big man with rough hands from years of working on engines and weapon systems. "Captain, they're really going to do it. They're going to kill everyone on Earth." Daniel nodded slowly. "I know. They destroyed the Zelnari homeworld 30 years ago. The official records say it was a solar flare, but we found the truth in old data files. The Council bombarded the planet because the Zelnari developed faster-than-light communication that the Council couldn't control." Navigation Officer Katie Wells pulled up a star map on her console. Her young face looked worried. "Sir, I'm detecting ship movements, big ones. Council warships are gathering near their main bases. I count 73 capital ships so far. They're all heading toward our solar system. 73 warships." Daniel felt the weight of that number. Each one of those ships could destroy a city with a single shot. Together, they could turn Earth into a burned rock floating in space. And humanity had only 7 ships that could fight back. But those 7 ships were special. They were built using technology that the Council didn't understand and couldn't detect. Dark matter made up most of the universe, but for thousands of years, most species couldn't interact with it. It was invisible, untouchable, like trying to grab smoke with your hands. Dr. Nicole Hayes had changed that. She was a scientist who studied quantum physics, and 5 years ago she discovered that dark matter could be manipulated using specific energy frequencies. It took her another year to figure out how to build a device that could actually do it. When she showed her discovery to the human military, they immediately understood what it meant. Ships that could phase through solid objects. Weapons that could appear inside enemy shields. The ability to become invisible to normal sensors. It was technology that could change everything. The military had built 7 warships in secret, hiding them in civilian shipyards, disguising the construction as simple cargo vessels. When the Council found out about the dark matter research, it was too late. The ships were already built and scattered across the galaxy. "Send the activation code," Daniel ordered. "Tell Admiral Carter that Operation Dark Sky is now active." Lisa moved to her console and entered a long series of commands. Code transmitted. All ships are responding. The Admiral confirms that all 7 vessels are in position. Daniel looked at the star map. 7 small dots spread across the galaxy. Each dot represented a ship and a crew that was ready to do the impossible. The UES Phantom was near the Council homeworld. The UES Wraith was hiding near the big shipyards where the Council built their warships. The UES Spectre was close to Central Command, where all Council military operations were controlled. The other ships were positioned at key locations throughout Council space. How long until the Council fleet reaches Earth? Daniel asked. At their current speed, about 40 hours, Katie replied. They're not trying to hide their approach. They want us to see them coming. They want us to be afraid. They want us to surrender, Lisa added. They think we'll panic when we see how big their fleet is. Daniel walked over to the large window that showed the stars outside. Space looked peaceful, but he knew that peace was about to end. The Council had ruled the galaxy through fear and control. They kept younger species weak by limiting their technology. They destroyed anyone who threatened their power. For 10,000 years, their system had worked, but they had made one mistake. They had underestimated humanity. They thought humans were just another primitive species that would obey or be destroyed. They didn't understand that humans had survived nuclear weapons, survived climate change, survived countless wars and disasters. Humanity knew how to fight when survival was on the line. All crew members, this is the captain, Daniel announced over the ship-wide communication system. You all know what the Council has demanded. They want us to surrender our technology and accept their control. They've threatened to destroy Earth if we refuse. They think we're weak. They think we'll give up our freedom to save our lives. He paused, letting his words sink in throughout the ship. They're wrong. We didn't come this far, didn't fight this hard to bow down to tyrants. In less than 2 days, we're going to show the Council what happens when they threaten humanity. We're going to show the entire galaxy that the age of Council dominance is over. Get some rest. Check your systems. When the time comes, I need everyone ready to do their duty. Daniel looked back at his bridge crew. They looked scared, which was good. Fear kept you alert, kept you careful. But he also saw determination in their faces. They knew what was at stake. They knew there was no going back. Sir, Greg said quietly, what if we lose? What if this doesn't work? Then we lose fighting, Daniel replied. But I don't think we're going to lose. The Council has better weapons, more ships, more experience. But we have something they don't have. We have nothing to lose and everything to fight for. That makes us dangerous. Lisa smiled slightly. The most dangerous humans have always been the ones with their backs against the wall. Exactly, Daniel agreed. Now let's show them why you should never corner a species that climbed to the top of its food chain by being stubborn, clever, and unwilling to quit. Admiral Helen Carter stood in the command center of the UES Phantom, watching the holographic displays that floated in the air around her. Each display showed a different part of the galaxy, and each one told a story of preparation and positioning. Her ship was the largest of humanity's 7 dark matter warships, and right now it was completely invisible to the Council sensors that swept past it every few minutes. Status report on all vessels, Helen ordered. Her voice was calm, but inside she felt the weight of what was about to happen. In less than 12 hours, humanity would either win its freedom or be destroyed completely. Commander Jake Sullivan, her tactical officer, read from his display. UES Valkyrie is in position at Council Station Theta. Captain Harper reports all systems are working perfectly. UES Wraith is near the Velkin shipyards. US Spectre is orbiting Central Command. UES Shadow is holding position near the Council homeworld. US Eclipse and UES Nightfall are covering the outer sectors. All ships are phased into dark matter space and completely undetected. Helen nodded. The plan was risky, maybe even crazy, but it was the only chance they had. 7 ships against the entire Galactic Council military. On paper, it looked like suicide. But paper didn't account for the fact that the Council had no idea what dark matter technology could really do. What about the Council fleet heading to Earth? Helen asked. 73 ships, all capital-class warships, Jake replied. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a continent. They're traveling in standard formation with shields up and weapons ready. Their captains are sending messages back and forth, and our listening posts are picking up their communications. What are they saying? Helen asked. Jake looked uncomfortable. They're confident, Admiral. Very confident. They think this is going to be easy. Some of them are already talking about how they'll divide up human colonies after Earth is destroyed. They're treating this like a police action, not a real war. Helen felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. Anger made you sloppy, and she couldn't afford to be sloppy right now. Let them be confident. Confident enemies make mistakes. Lieutenant Amy Ross, the communications officer, spoke up from her station. Admiral, We're receiving messages from human colonies across the frontier. People are scared. They're asking if they should evacuate. Some are asking if there's any hope at all. Helen thought about all those people, all those families who were waiting to hear if they would live or die. She thought about the children who didn't understand why aliens wanted to hurt them. She thought about the old people who had worked their whole lives to build homes on new worlds, only to face destruction from an enemy they had never fought. "Tell them to stay calm," Helen said firmly. "Tell them that in 12 hours everything will change. Tell them that humanity is not surrendering, and we are not running away. Tell them to have faith in their military and in their technology." Amy hesitated. Should I tell them about the operation? No, Helen decided. If the Council intercepts our communications and figures out what we're planning, we lose our advantage.
Keep it simple.
Just tell them we have a plan. Dr. Nicole Hayes stepped closer to Helen's command chair. Nicole was a civilian, but she was on board the Phantom because she understood the dark matter technology better than anyone else alive. She was the one who had discovered how to manipulate dark matter in the first place. "Admiral, I need to explain something about what we're about to do," Nicole said quietly. "When we phase into normal space inside a solid object, there's going to be a massive energy release. Physics doesn't like it when two things occupy the same space. The ships will be fine because we'll phase out immediately, but the targets are going to be destroyed completely." "That's the point," Helen replied. "I know, but I want to make sure you understand the scale," Nicole continued. "When the Valkyrie phases into Council Station Theta's reactor core, the explosion will be bigger than a nuclear bomb. The station will be gone in seconds. Same with all our other targets. We're not just damaging these facilities, we're erasing them." Helen met Nicole's eyes. "Doctor, the Council is coming to erase Earth and every human colony. They've done it before to other species. We didn't start this fight, but we're going to finish it. If that means destroying their military bases, then that's what we do." Nicole nodded slowly. "I just wanted you to know, once we do this, there's no going back. The galaxy will never look at humanity the same way again." "Good," Helen said. "I'm tired of being looked down on. I'm tired of being treated like we're children who need permission to learn. The Council had 200 years to treat us fairly. They chose intimidation and control. Now they pay the price." Jake pulled up a new display. "Admiral, we're seeing movement from some of the other Council member species. The Trelvani Senate is meeting in emergency session. The Minari Collective is broadcasting messages of support to human colonies. The Velkans are mobilizing their reserve fleet." "Are the Velkans joining the attack on Earth?" Amy asked nervously. Helen studied the trajectory data carefully. "No, they're moving to intercept the Council's main command ships. I think the Velkans are declaring independence from the Council. They're using our attack as cover to break free." The bridge crew exchanged glances. This changed everything. If other species were rebelling against the Council, then humanity wasn't alone. The Council's grip on the galaxy was weaker than anyone had realized. They'd maintained control through fear, but fear only works if everyone believes you're invincible. Once someone proves you can be beaten, fear turns into anger and rebellion. "How many species are showing signs of breaking away?" Helen asked. Jake checked his data. "Hard to say for sure, but we're seeing unusual activity from at least 20 different civilizations. Some are moving military assets. Others are broadcasting messages that sound like independence declarations. The Minari are being the most open about it. They're calling for the complete dissolution of the Council." Helen allowed herself a small smile. The Council built their empire on keeping everyone else weak and divided. They never considered what would happen if someone proved they could be defeated. "We're not just fighting for humanity's survival. We're starting a revolution." 10 hours until operation start," Amy announced. Helen opened a secure channel to all 7 human warships. "All captains, this is Admiral Carter. In 10 hours, we're going to do something that has never been done before. We're going to strike the Galactic Council simultaneously at 7 different locations. We're going to destroy their ability to project military power. We're going to show them that humanity will not be bullied, threatened, or controlled." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "I know you're all scared. I'm scared too. But fear is natural when you're about to face the most powerful military force in the galaxy. What matters is what we do with that fear. We can let it paralyze us, or we can use it to make us sharp and focused." "I choose focused." The other captains acknowledged the message. Helen could see their faces on her display, each one showing determination mixed with nervousness. They were good people, good officers. She trusted them to do their jobs. Dr. Hayes, Helen said, are all the dark matter generators operating at full capacity? Nicole checked her instruments. Yes, Admiral. All 7 ships are ready to phase in and out of normal space on your command. The weapons systems are charged. The targeting data is locked in. We're ready. Commander Sullivan, confirm our primary target one more time, Helen ordered. Jake brought up a detailed schematic. Our target is the Council Defense Ministry on their homeworld. It's where they coordinate all military operations across the galaxy. If we take it out, their fleet won't have central command. They'll be operating independently without coordination or support. Civilian casualties? Helen asked. The target is in a military zone separated from civilian areas, Jake replied. Our strike will be precise. We're aiming for the command center only. We're not here to kill innocent people. We're here to break the Council's ability to threaten us. Helen appreciated that distinction. This wasn't about revenge or cruelty. This was about survival and freedom. The Council had forced this confrontation by threatening genocide. Humanity was responding with precision strikes against military targets. There was a difference, and that difference mattered. All stations begin final preparations, Helen ordered. I want every system checked and double-checked. When we phase into normal space, we'll only have seconds to fire and phase out. There's no room for errors or equipment failures. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, running through their checklists. Helen watched them work and felt proud. These were humans who had trained for years, who had volunteered to crew experimental warships using technology that was barely understood. They knew the risks. They came anyway. Admiral, Amy said softly, I'm receiving a message from Earth. It's from the Secretary General. She wants to speak with you privately. Helen nodded and moved to a small side room off the main bridge. The holographic image of Secretary General Patricia Williams appeared. She was an older woman with gray hair and tired eyes. Admiral Carter, I need to know if this is going to work, Patricia said without greeting. I have 8 billion people on Earth who are terrified. I have colonies across 50 star systems who are preparing for the worst. Captain Daniel Harper watched the countdown timer tick toward 0. 3 minutes remained until Operation Dark Sky would begin. The bridge of the UES Valkyrie was completely silent, except for the soft hum of the ship's systems. Every crew member was focused on their station, hands ready on controls, eyes locked on displays. Weapons charged and ready, Lieutenant Frank Morrison reported from the tactical station. His voice was steady despite the tension. Dark matter torpedoes are armed. Pulse cannons are at full power. Resonance disruptors are online. All systems showing green. Enemy sensor sweeps continue to pass right through us, added Lieutenant Katie Wells from navigation. They still have no idea we're here. The station's automated systems are functioning normally. As far as they know, everything is fine. Daniel allowed himself to feel a moment of satisfaction. The UES Valkyrie was currently positioned inside Council Station Theta, occupying the same physical space as the station's massive command center. To the Council's sensors and instruments, there was nothing unusual. Their equipment couldn't detect objects that existed in dark matter space. To them, the area was empty. To Daniel and his crew, the enemy's entire operation was visible through their dimensional overlay screens. He could see Council officers walking through corridors, completely unaware that a human warship was sharing the same space with them. He could watch their tactical displays showing the fleet heading toward Earth. He could listen to their communications as they discussed how they would destroy humanity. Some were making jokes about it. Some were placing bets on how long Earth's defenses would last. 2 minutes, Lisa Monroe announced quietly. She stood next to Daniel's command chair, her hand resting on the back of it for support. Her knuckles were white, but her voice was calm. Daniel opened a ship-wide channel. All crew, this is the captain. In 2 minutes, we're going to do something unprecedented. We're going to strike first against an enemy that outnumbers us, outguns us, and has thousands of years more experience in warfare. And we're going to win. Not because we're stronger or tougher, but because we're smarter. Because when they tried to keep us ignorant, we learned anyway. When they tried to keep us weak, we became dangerous. We didn't ask for this fight. They brought it to us. Now we're going to show them what humanity does to bullies. Stand ready. 90 seconds. Lisa counted down. On the tactical display, Daniel could see markers for all 7 human warships positioned at critical targets throughout Council space. Each marker represented not just a ship, but the hopes and survival of the entire human species. If even one ship failed, if even one target wasn't destroyed, the operation could fall apart. The timing had to be perfect. The synchronization had to be exact. 1 minute, Lisa said. Her voice was barely above a whisper now. Daniel's hand moved to hover over the command authorization panel. He thought about Earth, about the billions of people who were depending on him and the other captains. He thought about his sister and her children, living in a colony near Mars. He thought about all the humans who had worked and struggled to build a life among the stars, only to be told they weren't allowed to develop their own technology. 30 seconds. The bridge crew was motionless. Time seemed to slow down. Daniel could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. This was it, the moment that would decide whether humanity survived or died. 20 seconds. He thought about what Admiral Carter had said before the operation began. This wasn't about revenge. This was about survival. This was about refusing to be victims. This was about showing the galaxy that humanity deserved respect, not pity or contempt. 10 seconds, 9, 8. Daniel's hand tightened over the panel. 7, 6, 5. He took a deep breath. 4, 3, 2. Everything he'd trained for, everything he'd prepared for came down to this moment. 1. Execute. Daniel slammed his palm down on the authorization panel. Phase transition. Bring us into normal space. Target the reactor core. Fire everything! The UES Valkyrie shimmered into existence inside Council Station Theta. For a fraction of a second that seemed to last forever, the ship occupied the same space as the station's primary fusion reactor. The laws of physics screamed in protest at the impossibility. Matter couldn't occupy the same space as other matter. Something had to give, all weapons firing. Frank shouted. The dark matter torpedoes launched at point-blank range. There was nowhere for them to go, no distance to cross. They were already inside their target. The torpedoes detonated simultaneously throughout the station, each one placed with surgical precision in a critical system. Reactor containment, power distribution, weapons control, life support, shield generators, everything exploded at once. Phase out. Emergency jump now! Daniel commanded. The Valkyrie vanished back into dark matter space just as the reactor containment failed. The explosion was massive, a miniature sun blooming in the darkness of space. Council Station Theta, which had stood for 3,000 years as a symbol of council power and authority, tore itself apart. Metal twisted and melted. Entire sections blew outward in all directions. In less than 5 seconds, the station went from a mighty fortress to a field of burning debris. Jump complete. We're clear, Katie reported, her voice shaking slightly. Station Theta is completely destroyed. There's nothing left but wreckage. Daniel felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. He opened the communication channel to receive reports from the other ships. Within seconds, messages started flowing in. UES Wraith reporting. Velkin shipyards are gone. We hit every construction base simultaneously. Enemy shipbuilding capacity reduced by at least 60%. No friendly casualties. UES Spectre confirming mission success. Central command is offline. The main communication hub is destroyed. Council military forces are cut off from their command structure. We're already jumping to secondary position. UES Shadow reporting from Council homeworld. All orbital defense platforms have been neutralized. We were extremely careful. The only casualties were military personnel. All civilian structures are intact. Message delivered. Daniel watched as the tactical display updated in real time. All 7 human ships had struck within the same 60-second window. The Council's military infrastructure across the galaxy was crippled. Their leadership was cut off from their forces. Their shipyards were burning. Their defense networks were silent. Captain, I'm receiving distress signals from Council forces, Amy Ross said from communications. They're confused and panicking. They're asking what happened. Some are reporting massive explosions with no warning. Others are saying they're under attack but can't identify the enemy. Good, Daniel said coldly. Let them be confused. Fear and confusion are weapons too. Lisa pulled up a new display showing the Council fleet that had been heading toward Earth. Sir, the enemy fleet is breaking formation. They're receiving fragmented reports from their bases. They don't understand what's happening. Some ships are slowing down. Others are trying to turn around. How many ships in that fleet? Daniel asked. 73 when they started, Lisa replied. All of them are still there, but they're no longer coordinated. They're like a pack of animals that just lost their alpha. Daniel stood up from his command chair. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want every ship in the galaxy to hear this message. Channel open, sir, Amy confirmed. Everyone's listening. Daniel took a breath and began speaking. Attention all Council forces. This is Captain Daniel Harper of the United Earth Space Navy. Your military infrastructure has been neutralized. Your command centers have been destroyed. Your shipyards are burning. Your ultimatum to humanity is rejected completely. You came to our system with 73 warships to threaten genocide against our entire species. We responded with 7 ships and eliminated your ability to wage offensive war. This is not a negotiation. This is a demonstration of what happens when you threaten humanity. He paused, letting his words echo across countless receivers throughout the galaxy. We did not ask to be your enemies. You forced this confrontation. You demanded we surrender technology we developed independently. You threatened to exterminate billions of innocent people because we refused to remain ignorant and weak. You built your council on the suppression of younger species. You maintained your power by keeping others dependent on you. You destroyed civilizations that became too advanced too quickly. That system is over. That age is finished, Frank interrupted urgently. Captain, the Council fleet is activating weapons. They're targeting Earth. Daniel felt cold anger flow through him. They still don't understand. They still think they can threaten us with impunity. All ships, this is Valkyrie. Engage the enemy fleet. Pattern Delta. Show them what happens when they point guns at our home. The 7 human warships phased back into normal space around the Council fleet. They appeared from nowhere, materializing out of empty space like ghosts. The Council ships tried to respond, tried to target the humans, but their weapons were designed for conventional warfare. Their targeting systems couldn't lock onto ships that existed partially in dark matter space. Their shields couldn't stop weapons that phased through physical barriers. The UES Valkyrie appeared directly beside a Council dreadnought, one of their most powerful warship types. Daniel didn't hesitate, phased through their hull. Fire torpedoes directly into their reactor room. High Counselor Vexthor stood in what remained of his office on the Council homeworld. The walls had cracks running through them from the explosion that had destroyed the orbital defense platforms overhead. Dust still fell from the ceiling. Emergency lights flickered on and off. Outside his window, he could see smoke rising from the military district where the Defense Ministry had stood just hours ago. His aide, a young Korthan named Pelvor, entered the room carrying a data tablet. The young alien's hands were shaking. His skin had turned a pale blue color that indicated extreme stress in his species. High Counselor, Pelvor said, his voice unsteady. I have the damage reports. They're not good. Vexthor turned away from the window. His own scales had lost their usual bright coloring. He felt old, ancient even, and deeply tired. Tell me everything. Leave nothing out. Pelvor consulted his tablet. Council Station Theta is completely destroyed. There were no survivors. The station commander, his entire staff, over 2,000 personnel, all gone in the first strike. The Velkan shipyards are burning. Every construction bay was hit simultaneously with perfect precision. Our ability to build new warships has been reduced by at least 60%. Central Command is offline. The entire military communication network is down. We can't coordinate our forces across the galaxy. The young aide paused, looking like he might be sick. The orbital defense platforms protecting our homeworld were destroyed in coordinated strikes. The Defense Ministry is gone. 3,000 officers and support staff died when that building was hit, and the fleet we sent to Earth, the one with 73 capital ships, was destroyed. Only 14 vessels managed to escape. The rest were either destroyed or too damaged to continue fighting. Vexthor sat down heavily in his chair. He felt something he hadn't felt in his long lifetime. Genuine fear. How many human ships did we destroy? None, Counselor, Pelvor said quietly. Our forces never successfully targeted a single human vessel. Their ships appear from nowhere, strike and vanish. Our sensors can't detect them. Our shields can't stop their weapons. Our targeting systems can't lock onto them. It's like fighting ghosts. How is that possible? Vexthor demanded. We have the most advanced military in the galaxy. We've been building warships for 10,000 years. The humans have developed something we don't understand, Pelvor explained. Their dark matter technology isn't just propulsion or weapons. It's a complete paradigm shift in how warfare works. They exist partially outside normal space. They can phase through solid matter. They can strike from inside our defenses. Everything we built our military doctrine around is useless against them. A holographic display activated without anyone touching the controls. Admiral Helen Carter's face appeared, calm and cold. Vexthor felt anger surge through him at the sight of her. "High Counselor Vexthor," Helen said without any greeting or courtesy. "I am Admiral Helen Carter of the United Earth Space Navy. You and your 11 fellow High Counselors will present yourselves for negotiation within 6 hours. You will come unarmed. You will listen to our terms. You will agree to restructure the Galactic Council according to our requirements." Vexthor stood up, his scales flushing dark red with rage. "You dare? You've committed acts of war against the entire Galactic Council. You've killed thousands. Every species in the galaxy will unite against you for this. Will they?" Helen asked calmly. She gestured and the holographic display split into multiple screens. Each one showed a different part of the galaxy, and each one showed chaos. "Let me show you what's really happening while you sit in your damaged office." Vexthor watched in growing horror as the screens displayed news feeds from across the galaxy. The Trelvani Senate had voted unanimously to declare independence from the Council. The Minari Collective was broadcasting calls for the complete dissolution of the Council system. The Velkans had openly announced an alliance with humanity. Dozens of smaller species were following suit, declaring freedom from Council control. "You ruled through fear," Helen continued. "You kept entire civilizations technologically stunted, so they could never challenge your dominance. You destroyed species that developed too quickly. You created a system where being young meant being subjugated. We've just proven that your power was built on intimidation and nothing more. Now that everyone knows you can be defeated, how many species do you think will still obey you?" "This is chaos," Vexthor protested, his voice rising. "The galaxy needs order and structure. Without the Council's guidance, there will be wars, conflicts, disasters. Younger species aren't ready to govern themselves. They need our wisdom and experience, like we needed it?" Helen asked pointedly. "Counselor, humanity survived nuclear weapons. We survived climate change that nearly destroyed our planet. We survived artificial intelligence that could have turned against us. We survived wars that killed millions. We did all of that without your wisdom. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to let other species prove what they can accomplish without you holding them back." The display changed again. This time, Vexthor saw images from human colonies throughout space. People were celebrating in the streets. Children were playing without the shadow of threatened genocide hanging over them. Scientists were sharing research that had been forbidden under Council law. Engineers were designing new technologies that would have been banned before. "You built your Council on control and suppression," Helen said. "You decided what technology was allowed. You decided which species could advance and which had to stay primitive. You appointed yourselves the guardians of the galaxy, and never asked if anyone wanted your protection. Well, Counselor, your term as guardian is over. The galaxy is moving on without you. And if we refuse your demands?" Vexthor asked, though he already knew the answer. Helen's expression didn't change. "Then the 7 warships that crippled your military in a single coordinated strike will return. But next time we won't be so careful about limiting civilian casualties. We've shown we can strike anywhere in the galaxy simultaneously. We can reach any target. We can end any threat. Do you really want to find out if we're willing to use that capability without restraint?" Vexthor felt the weight of defeat settle on his shoulders. They'd lost. Not just the battle, but the entire war. Humanity had shattered the foundation that galactic civilization had been built on for thousands of years. The younger species would never accept Council authority again. The older species would have to adapt or be left behind. Everything was changing, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "What do you want from us?" Vexthor asked, his voice hollow. "We want a real council," Helen replied. "Not a dictatorship disguised as governance. Every spacefaring species gets an equal vote regardless of age or technological level. The technological restriction accords are abolished completely. Species develop at their own pace without artificial limits imposed from above. No more destroying civilizations that advance too quickly. No more keeping others weak to maintain your superiority." She leaned forward slightly. "You have knowledge and experience that could benefit the galaxy. You've maintained peace after a fashion for 10,000 years. That has value. But the days of ruling through fear and suppression are finished. You can be part of building something better, or you can be swept away by the revolution we've started. Choose wisely." The transmission ended, leaving Vexthor alone with his aide in the damaged office. Pelvor spoke hesitantly. "Counselor, the other High Counselors are requesting emergency communications. They want to know what we should do." Some are calling for continued resistance. Others are suggesting we accept the human terms. Vexthor walked back to the window and looked out at his homeworld. He thought about the thousands of years of council dominance, about the comfortable certainty that his civilization would always be supreme, about the carefully maintained order that had kept the galaxy stable. All of it was crumbling, destroyed in a few hours by a species they'd dismissed as primitive newcomers. "Contact the other counselors," Vexthor said slowly. "Tell them we're going to accept the human terms. Tell them that the age of the old council is over. Tell them that humanity has won this confrontation." "But, Counselor," Pelvor protested, "if we surrender now, we'll lose everything. Our authority, our power, our control over galactic affairs." "We've already lost all of that," Vexthor replied. "The humans destroyed it when they destroyed our fleet. The moment those 14 ships limped home and reported what happened, our power was gone. Fear only works if people believe you're invincible. Humanity proved we're not." He turned to face his young aide. "Do you know what the humans did that was truly brilliant? They didn't just defeat us militarily. They defeated us psychologically. They showed the entire galaxy that the Council could be challenged and beaten. They proved that technological suppression was the only thing keeping us in power. Once that secret was out, once everyone knew they'd been held back artificially, rebellion was inevitable." Pelvor processed this slowly. "So we really have no choice?" "We have a choice," Vexthor corrected. "We can accept the new reality and try to help shape it into something stable, or we can resist and be completely destroyed. The humans offered us a place in their new system." 6 months had passed since the battle that changed the galaxy forever. Captain Daniel Harper stood at the observation window of the UES Valkyrie, watching as ships from over 100 different species approached Unity Station. The massive space station floated where Council Station Theta had once stood, but everything about it was different. Where the old station had been a fortress designed to project power and intimidate, Unity Station was open and welcoming. Its architecture spoke of cooperation rather than domination. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Monroe walked up beside him, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Daniel and stood next to him, watching the traffic outside. "It's strange seeing so many different species working together," Lisa said quietly. 6 months ago, most of them wouldn't even talk to each other without council permission. "That's what freedom looks like," Daniel replied, taking a sip of his coffee. "Messy, chaotic, unpredictable, but ultimately more honest than the old system. No one's pretending anymore. No one's hiding their ambitions or capabilities. Everything's out in the open." A sleek Velcon science vessel docked next to a human cargo transport. A Minari diplomatic ship approached from the other direction, escorted by 2 Trelvani warships. Species that had been kept apart for centuries were now freely interacting, trading technology and ideas without the Council's restrictions. "Are you worried about how fast things are changing?" Lisa asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "Every single day, we've unleashed something we can't control. The galaxy is developing new technologies faster than anyone can track. New alliances are forming and dissolving. There are conflicts breaking out in sectors that were peaceful for centuries. We traded the Council's enforced stability for complete chaos." "But it's productive chaos," Lisa pointed out. "Dr. Hayes says we're seeing scientific breakthroughs every week that would have taken decades under the old system. Medical advances, engineering innovations, new discoveries about physics and the universe. Once you remove artificial limits and let people share knowledge freely, progress accelerates exponentially." "That's what scares me," Daniel admitted. "Progress without guidance or wisdom can be dangerous. The Council might have been tyrants, but they did prevent a lot of potential conflicts. Now everyone's armed, everyone's developing their own weapons, and there's no central authority to prevent wars." A priority communication alert sounded. Daniel moved to a nearby console and activated it. Admiral Helen Carter's face appeared on the screen. "Captain Harper, I hope I'm not interrupting," Helen said with a slight smile. "Not at all, Admiral. What's the situation?" "Complex as usual," Helen replied. "The Reformed Council is voting today on the new charter. Every spacefaring species gets equal representation, no matter how old or advanced they are. The technological restriction accords are being formally abolished. It should pass easily, but there are still some holdouts from the old guard who want to preserve parts of the original system." "Any threats we need to address?" Daniel asked. "Nothing immediate, but intelligence suggests some former Council loyalists are meeting in secret. They might be planning something to disrupt the vote or discredit the new system. I need the Valkyrie and 3 other ships on standby just in case someone tries something stupid. Daniel felt the familiar tension of potential action. Understood, Admiral. We'll be ready. Do you have any specifics on what they might be planning? Not yet. Our sources say it's something designed to prove that younger species can't be trusted with advanced technology. They want to create an incident that justifies bringing back restrictions. Be alert for anything unusual. The transmission ended. Daniel turned to Lisa. Get the crew to battle stations quietly. No alarms, no panic. I want everyone ready, but I don't want to advertise it. If there are Council loyalists planning something, I don't want them to know we're prepared. As Lisa moved to carry out the orders, Daniel opened a ship-wide channel. All crew, this is the captain. We're going on alert status. There's a possibility of hostile action by forces opposed to the new Council system. I need everyone at their stations and ready for immediate deployment. This might be nothing, or it might be our most important mission yet. The new galaxy we helped create is fragile. There are people who want to destroy it and return to the old ways. We're not going to let that happen. Over the next hour, reports came in from across the galaxy. The vote was proceeding at Unity Station. Representatives from hundreds of species were casting their ballots. The early results showed overwhelming support for the new charter. Even some of the old Council species were voting in favor, recognizing that the old system was dead and adaptation was the only path to survival. Then the alarms went off. Captain, Lieutenant Katie Wells shouted from navigation. I'm detecting an unauthorized weapons activation near Unity Station. Someone's targeting the main conference chamber where the vote is happening. Source? Daniel demanded, already moving toward his command chair. It's a modified Council warship, one of the old models, Katie replied, her fingers flying over her controls. It's been stripped down and upgraded with stolen human technology. They're charging weapons and preparing to fire on the station. How did they get human technology? Lisa asked. Doesn't matter right now, Daniel said. Frank, can we intercept? Lieutenant Frank Morrison checked his tactical display. We're too far away for a conventional intercept, but if we phase through normal space, we can reach them in 30 seconds. The problem is their weapons will fire in 20 seconds. Daniel made his decision instantly. Emergency phase jump. Put us directly between that ship and Unity Station. Use our hull to block their weapons if necessary. Go now. The UES Valkyrie shimmered out of normal space and reappeared directly in front of the hostile warship. Daniel could see the enemy vessel on his screen, its weapons glowing with charging energy. He opened a communication channel. Hostile vessel, this is Captain Daniel Harper of the UES Valkyrie. Power down your weapons immediately or we will disable your ship. You have 10 seconds to comply. A face appeared on the screen, an older member of one of the original Council species. His expression was filled with rage and desperation. You've destroyed everything. The galaxy was ordered and peaceful under Council guidance. Now there's chaos everywhere. We're going to prove that younger species can't be trusted. We're going to show everyone what happens when primitives get dangerous technology. You're going to murder innocent delegates because you can't accept change? Daniel asked coldly. You're going to prove you're the civilized ones by committing mass murder? That makes no sense. It will make the galaxy understand that the Council was necessary, the alien shouted. When they see what happens without central control, they'll beg us to return to power. No, Daniel said firmly. They'll see exactly what the old Council really was. Tyrants who would rather kill than lose power. Cowards who can't compete fairly, so they resort to terrorism. You're not proving younger species are dangerous. You're proving the Council was never fit to lead. Fire weapons. The enemy captain screamed at his crew. Disable their ship, Daniel ordered. Precision strike on their weapons and engines. I want them alive to stand trial. The Valkyrie's pulse cannons fired. The beams precisely calibrated to destroy only specific systems. The enemy warship's weapons exploded before they could fire. Its engines went dark. The ship drifted powerless in space, no longer a threat to anyone. Target neutralized, Frank reported. No casualties on either side. Unity Station is secure. Daniel let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Get me Admiral Carter and the Council security forces. We have prisoners to transfer, and a lot of questions to answer about how they got human technology. Over the next few hours, the situation was resolved. The hostile ship's crew was arrested and taken into custody. An investigation revealed they'd stolen human technology from a research facility 3 months earlier. Security protocols were immediately updated across all human installations. The vote at Unity Station continued and passed with 97% approval. Later that evening, Daniel stood on the observation deck again, this time with several of his senior officers. They'd been invited to attend the celebration at Unity Station, but Daniel had chosen to stay on his ship and watch from a distance. "We should be down there celebrating with them," Lisa said. "We helped make this happen." "That's exactly why we should stay here," Daniel replied. "We're not saviors or heroes. We're just people who fought for survival and happened to win. If we start thinking of ourselves as the galaxy's protectors or leaders, we become exactly what the old council was." Greg Patterson, the chief engineer, joined them at the window. "I heard about what happened with the hostile ship. You could have destroyed them easily." "Why didn't you?" "Because killing should always be the last option, not the first one," Daniel explained. "We've proven we can destroy anyone who threatens us. Now we need to prove we can show restraint and mercy. Otherwise, we're just replacing one set of tyrants with another." Katie Wells pulled up a data display showing galactic news feeds. "Captain, you should see this. The incident today is being reported across the galaxy. Every news service is covering it. They're calling humanity the reluctant guardians. They're saying we could have taken control of the galaxy after defeating the Council.